I said, just don't say anything wild because we are live with episode 249. And Dave, let's get behind the scenes with people a little bit because this week we don't have anything set to talk about.
I will
We
never
have
retire.
we've done a couple big interviews. We have big interviews on the way. But this morning we're talking with a guest coming up. Is he a WWE Hall of Famer?
I don't believe so. No, he is not a Hall of Famer at this time.
He's definitely a wrestling legend. We're gonna be Dave's gonna be talking to Jacques Rougeau today, and we are just walking through the technical difficulties of getting a video that he would like up. And it's one of those funny things where we're dealing with like an age gap. So, I mean, we had it the other day with Tito Santana. I told somebody at work, they're like, "Oh, how's your day going?" And I'm like, I helped Tito Santana out with a computer problem. And they just looked at me and they're like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And I'm like, "Nah, that's real life."
Yeah.
So you get these things where people of different ages have those different technical abilities. And we're also dealing with a language barrier because I don't speak French. I can barely understand it. Dave, how good are you with French?
I struggle with English, so I'm not I'm not the guy to ask here. Arriba!
But I am definitely looking forward to this. Now, I haven't quite let me see, how far am I into the Tito Santana interview? And guys, we're going to be freewheeling today because before Dave and I were exceptionally tired, we're like, let's go into this with no set plan. Let's just kind of freestyle what we're doing. And stayed up super late. That was a fucking mistake. So now I'm hoping we could keep it on the tracks. But I'm like a third of the way into the Tito interview. How did you enjoy talking to Tito?
I enjoyed it. Geez, I don't know where I'd rank it in terms of like all-time interviews, but I had a good time talking to him. I mean, it was early on. I just felt like Tito gives a lot of short answers, like he doesn't necessarily give me a lot to bite on. But when you can kind of talk to him about, and what he wants to talk about and what he's comfortable talking about it, you can dig it out of him. It feels like he's got to get in the groove like we all do. And so I enjoyed it once we got cooking. But, some people, they really struggle with that. And then some people are they're so good, right? You don't really have to do anything. And they just take you on a journey and you just listen and you just sprinkle your own little stuff on when you can. But yeah, with Tito, I just felt like it took us a few minutes to warm up. But once we got there, I felt it was pretty good.
And that's kind of what it is. We've seen it with different interviews that we've done. We have one unaired interview that was definitely we were working at that one, but as you get to talk to the person you're talking to, you kind of find what you're dealing with. You go in with questions and you hope that you're able to get something out of the questions, but sometimes you have to deviate from the script and see what they enjoy. Sometimes it's just getting them talking about something they like, and then it's easier to get it out of them a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's give and take, and just to see what we can do. And hey, some people make great dance partners, right? And there's that chemistry right away. And then some people, you got to work at it a little bit. And then some people, you're like, nope, this is not for me. I made a mistake. I got to get out of here.
Now, after what you learned from the Tito interview, what are your expectations going into the Jacques Rougeau one today? And Jacques Rougeau is not going to air. Hold on, let me get the book out because we are booked up with interviews through early June, which is kind of wild. Remember when we struggled to get interviews and now we have interviews for months?
Yeah.
So Jacques Rougeau is going to air on June 11th.
June 11th. So that will be a couple weeks after Missy Hyatt were scheduled to interview too. Name
Oh
drop.
man, let's get into it. So, uh, Bull Buchanan came out this Tuesday.
Yep.
Tito Santana next Tuesday.
Yeah.
A week from today, the man called Dave is gonna be interviewing Missy Hyatt.
Yes.
Dave, this is one of the interviews I'm most excited for. Not only because it's Missy Hyatt and enough said right there, but you've also got this woman that he knew so many influential names in the game. He's been there at so many different parts of parts in history. What's your expectation for that interview going in?
I don't know. We'll see. I think there's a lot to talk about. So that's always good, right? Because she has been involved in so many different territories. And then also she's got other stuff going on now too, where she's got like her own little reenactment with Civil War history, right? And she's got she just graduated from like barber school, right? So she's got all these different things she's up to, and she's got this great past wrestling. So I feel like with Missy that there's so much to talk about that you know, this should be pretty good. Hold on there. We got Randy Osgood here. Tell AJ I said what's up and hope he's doing all right. We will send those
Well,
positive, Randy. And we might even
Randy,
see
I was about to say we might have a surprise for you next week. And if not, it'll be us wearing the same exact shit we are right now, previewing a couple big pay-per-views coming up. But so Missy Hyatt, we're starting the summer off hot. Memorial Day, Missy Hyatt comes out. The next day, just because it's our regular interview day, New Heights Wrestling Women's Champion Emily Locke.
It's ladies' week.
Yeah, and I'm excited for any of the interviews we get. You know, obviously, Tito Santana was a big one. Bull Buchanan was interesting. Missy Hyatt is Missy Hyatt, but New Heights Wrestling Women's Champion. When we've done these interviews, luckily, our producer at New Heights Wrestling has enjoyed the way these interviews have come out. And I personally like it, Dave, because it gives us another layer to call this person's matches, you know, gives you another something to mention, which I enjoy. It makes commentary feel a little easier when you've talked to these people, when you know a little more about them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the more we've gotten to know them over the years, just through their matches and stuff, you know, they have a roster that they're lucky to keep coming back, and they got a lot of regulars there. And so it's easier for us. It makes our job a little not only easier, but it's more entertaining. And yeah, I can't say these interviews have been fun. I like interviewing the talent from New Heights Wrestling. Hopefully that comes off for the listener.
And speaking of being jealous about interviews, we'll get to Randy's question before that. Does Mercedes win the TBS championship? It's kind of hard not to see her winning it. He's also enjoyed the Queen of the Ring matches. To get off the interview topic for a second, Dave, what do you think about the crowns they have been displaying for King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring?
It's old school. It's got an old school vibe to it back in the day when they really put more of a focus on that King of the Ring tournament. You know, I said it before, the only thing for me is I'm just hoping there's more stakes on this. I'm hoping it leads to championship matches or something. And, you know, I've enjoyed the tournament. I've enjoyed both. And I would agree. Lava Curie is doing great. But I love that they're giving the matches time to air.
Yeah. I kind of find it ironic that Triple H is bringing back crowns when, remember, years ago, the King of the Ring crown was the one thing Triple H hated, the crown and scepter. And now we're getting our own kind of version of it. And Dave, I want to go back to asking about the interviews because the one interview I didn't get to watch, and much like Missy Hyatt, I won't be around for and am jealous of. You interviewed New York Times bestselling author, wrestling author Keith Elliott Greenberg. He did the Ric Flair book. He did the Follow the Buzzards, the Rise of Wrestling during COVID. He did Too Sweet, the indie wrestling boom. How was that interview, and what do you think people will enjoy out of it? Because I haven't seen a word of it yet.
He's a knowledgeable wrestling fan. He loves wrestling. He's been watching wrestling for a very, very long time. He's considered a pro wrestling historian, which he jokes about. That just means I've been watching it for a long time. He doesn't take himself too seriously, and he's an intelligent guy. So I think that people will get a kick out of Keith, and I think they'll enjoy it.
Yeah, pro wrestling and true crime author. And it's funny, even in his book about wrestling and COVID-19, he talks about the presidential elections coming up during COVID, talks about uh, how COVID affected wrestling and life. So it's a very interesting book. I will be watching that Death of WCW series because it's the guys from, or who killed WCW. It's the guys from Dark Side of the Ring. It's the guys from $7 Productions. I think this is going to be interesting. I would like to hope they break new ground with it. We're knowledgeable enough wrestling fans. I don't know how much new we're going to find out of it, but I will be watching and I hope it's entertaining.
One thing I just wanted to say too, to get back to that Keith interview for 1 second, I'll let one little tiny spoiler out there. There is a point where he talked about Natalia Neidhart meeting him and saying, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you." And she talked about how with her dad on the road all the time, that she didn't get to see her dad as much, and sometimes she'd look at the WWF magazine, and that's how she would get to see her dad. And she'd always see Keith Elliott Greenberg's name on that magazine. And so many of these wrestlers, including Nick Aldis, just knew his name from the magazine. And when he said that, I don't really say this in the interview, but that's when it really clicked to me. Oh, like it was just a nostalgia feeling because there's that point where I'm a young man reading, and he's just got one of those names, Keith Elliott Greenberg, and it's just sticking out to you. And I'm like, I did the same thing. I remember being so fascinated by this magazine and wrestling and trying to look into who wrote these, and I just remember his name. And so that kind of hit me during the interview.
Yeah, and it's wild because much like Brian Solomon, he's into that classic wrestling. He writes books, he writes for magazines, and those are the interviews I really like getting because you're getting equal parts somebody that works in the wrestling industry, yet also somebody that is a fan. So it's that interesting line that I like. Now, we are getting to the end of these scheduled interviews. You've been going so hard on the interviews lately. What are ones that you're hoping to get? Who do you have your sights set on next?
Oh man, that's tough to say who I'm hoping to get because I threw out a wide net.
Bill Alfonso said we had good numbers, Daddy.
Bill Alfonso, yeah, he liked our numbers, but we haven't heard back yet, so we'll see how that goes. Fonzie Daddy, so Fonzie could be one. I was hoping Teddy Long would, holla holla at me, player, but I haven't heard back from Teddy yet.
It's a tough part with wrestling interviews. Sometimes it's a crapshoot, and it's almost 50-50 people who want to get paid versus people who are willing to do it.
Right. Yeah, and then some people too. It's just they just don't have the time, or it's just not for them right now. They don't want to invest their time in it unless you're a very, very huge, get, but, and then you got people like Jacques Rougeau who just said, yeah, I'll do it, so.
Yeah, it only has like one request from us, which we definitely want to make work.
Of course we're struggling with it, but
we're struggling with it, but it's important. Like if we have somebody come on and there's something they want to promote, we definitely want to help them to the best of our abilities.
Yeah.
Gabe, absolutely. I think we're doing pretty good with not having planned today. I kind of wanted to get into the interviews with you because we line these up, but we don't always kind of talk about them beforehand or as they're going on. And we've really crammed a lot into the last couple weeks. Like all of last year, we maybe did 3 or 4 interviews and like 2 of them were repeat guests. Mm-hmm. So it's good to talk to new people. It's good to branch out and get new people. Like, I would have never imagined we would have gotten Missy Hyatt, Tito Santana. Finally nailed down Emily Locke. That was somebody I tried contacting before Facebook gave me the boot.
Yeah, I didn't think Jacques Rougeau would be as accessible, honestly, too. Just because I'm not bearing it, but Raymond wasn't. Like, I could not get a hold of Raymond Rougeau to save my life. So, but Jacques, he's in.
And it's interesting. Jacques Rougeau, famous wrestling family from the Montreal city, the province of Quebec, known as the Mountie, known as half of the Quebecers with PCO. The guy wrestled until early 2000s and now has a wrestling school.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get to see. Yeah, you're going to get to see from the video, but we're going to put up the graphic right now so I can show Dave that I got it ready for him. That's the website for his school, and they're running a competition later this year. It sounds like 2 men and 2 women. To the best of our knowledge, you're going to win $10,000 each. Ooh, I don't know if it's dollars or whatever the Canadian currency is. And then there's a chance to go wrestle in Mexico and Japan. Watch the interview because we're going to find out neither one of us graduated high school with any kind of knowledge of French. So we did what we could.
Yep.
But I think that's part of the appeal of the Working Fans podcast, right? Is like, if we don't know shit, at least 2/3 of us are going to tell you we don't know shit.
We'll see how it goes.
Who knows? Maybe 3/4 of us.
Yeah. I will be doing this, and
Dave, we don't often.
Same guy who's sitting cross-legged right now and almost knocked his headset off with his foot. I'm gonna be the guy who tries to tries to do this. So we shall
now,
see.
Dave, do we spill the beans on what next week's episode is going to be? Because it's going to be one of two things. We don't yet know how it's going to play out.
We're just gonna see what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about the
Backlash and King of the Ring, or no, King of the Ring and Double or Nothing.
Yeah,
are both in one weekend, Memorial Day weekend. I'm getting ready to go to those woods to Maine for 3 very brief days. Who knows? Myself, the man called Dave, might be watching a little bit of the pay-per-view together. We'll definitely be talking about it. As of right now, Dave, without looking up the cards, without doing any research, what is your excitement for these events, and what matches stick out to you?
It's hard to say with King and Queen of the Ring yet because I need to see what we're going to get for finals. I've been saying Gunther for a while on the King side would probably be it. And so I was thinking Gunther and Randy Orton. Very possible we're going to get Tama Tonga and Jey Uso, though.
Oh, that would be good.
That makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's got to be Gunther. Yeah. But now that you bring that up, like it furthers that bloodline storyline.
Right.
We'll see. Obviously, the King of the Ring, it's a lot easier to call, I think, than the Queen of the Ring. I don't know if on the Queen side there is necessarily like 100% lockdown pick that you're like, I think she will most likely get it. I've heard Lyra Valkyria. I've heard
I think I'm going
other
Jade.
choices. Jade?
Yeah, I think Jade is just going to continue to get the big push. She's got the tag team champions with Bianca now, but I think she's the one they're building slowly, and that is going to be just another thing to add on her resume, right? To give that continued big push. So, I think that let's see, Jess thinks Elo is going to win for some reason, but I mean, I'd have to see the brackets in front of me, but I think Elo and Jade are on opposite. Obviously, she's on SmackDown, so I think they're going to meet in the finals. That's my prediction, anyway.
I can see. I was surprised to see EO get the win over Shayna on Monday. That was one of the matches I did catch. So those are the big matches that we see right now for King and Queen of the Ring. Double or Nothing. What are you looking forward to? And 2 weeks out, what's your level of excitement for this? Because I thought AEW was a good show this week.
Yeah, Will Ospreay and Roger Strong should be fun. Okada is in the Anarchy Rules match, so I guess that'll be fun. But I kind of wish Okada had a singles. I was just gonna say.
Yeah, the Anarchy in the arena. You got Darby Allin coming back. Did that seem like too early for Darby to be back in this match?
It probably was, but they probably didn't have a choice. Eddie Kingston.
What better person do you put in an Anarchy in the arena match too than Darby Allin?
No, for sure. I think he's definitely the go-to guy. Yeah, I think this is going to be a fun pay-per-view. I think the wrestling will be very good for AEW in that show. But we'll see. I don't have much.
100%. Now, we didn't bring them up at the beginning of the show. Oh, shit.
That's okay. We're delayed a little bit. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a delay. We did not bring them up at the start, but the summer is heating up. You can feel it. I'm already in a tank top. Weather is nice. And when the weather is this nice outside, Dave, what do you got in that cooler?
Oh, man. I got some Game Up.
If you haven't tried Game Up, then you are missing out. Imagine your favorite seltzer and your favorite sports drink had a baby, but it's way better than that. Each can is 110 calories, low carb, 4.9 ABV. It's a nice light drink that is not light on flavor. Game Up comes in fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape. Pick it up at drinkgameup.com or at your nearest liquor store.
Now, I think we've told a good story this week talking about what's going on in wrestling, our interviews coming up, and an interview that has eluded us, but a man that tells a great story in his newest book is Black Bart.
Hey, all you goddamn wrestling fans out there, listen, old Black Bart has got a book. It's called Wrestle. Black Bart. It's got some dadgum good stories in there about some dadgum good wrestlers.
Read stories of Dusty Rhodes, the Von Erich, Scott Casey, Sergeant Slaughter, Roddy Piper, Mr. Fuji, Ron Bass, Bruiser Brody, Mike Davis, the Grappler, and many others.
And I guarantee you one thing, that it'll be the best dadgum read you've had in a long, long time.
Get your book today at Russellville.com or on Amazon. Russellville, it's where wrestling lives.